The XY Advisor podcast is intended for professional financial advisors. All discussion is limited to publicly available information and should not be interpreted as legal, professional, or financial advice. XY Advisor does not hold an AFS license nor provide any financial services. Before making investment decisions, you should obtain financial advice from a qualified financial advisor.
Hey team, Ben Nash here. I'm one of the co-founders at XY Advisor and founder of the rapidly growing Pivot Wealth, which is my business baby I started from scratch about 8 years ago, and I've since scaled up to become one of Australia's better known financial advice companies for high income accumulators. You can join me every Tuesday as I have the pleasure of furthering my own knowledge by interviewing some of the best people in our industry and beyond to improve every part of what we do with our advice process. We're currently hiring financial advisors and associates, so if our approach resonates, you can learn more at pivotwealth.com.au/careers.
This episode is brought to you by Australian Retirement Trust, a fund that's more super for you and your clients. With more than 2 million members and over $200 billion under management, they have more access to super smart investments at home and abroad. They're committed to working with over 4,000 advisors and delivering a world of investment opportunities to help your clients live the retirement they want. Visit australianretirementtrust.com.au/advisor. Includes super savings and Q Super FUM and members at June 2022.
Hey guys, Ben Nash from the XY Advisor team, and today I'm pumped to be here with Charlie Viola. Charlie's partner and managing director at Pitcher Partners, where he's been since 2003. He became a partner there in 2005, and he was just giving me the bit of the download that he joined that business to start the wealth management arm, and it's probably a pretty fair comment to say it's grown pretty steadily since then. Doing a bit of stalking in prep for this, I see that it's grown from their assets under management from $50 million in 2001 to $3 billion in 2022. So a staggering amount of growth. And Charlie personally looks after a bit over $2 billion in assets under management. Charlie, well, it's only a 30-minute podcast, so I can't list all of the accolades, but he's been recognized in the Barron's Top 100 list for the last 4 years running. One of the 50 most influential advisors in Australia for the last 4 years, investment advisory, IFA awards, partner of the year, a whole bunch of other stuff. Charlie, thanks for joining us, mate.
Thanks for having me, Ben. Much appreciated, mate. I've been watching on this XY Advisor stuff that you guys are doing, and yeah, it's always been great work and very interesting. So yeah, delighted to be here, mate.
Well, hearing that, I'm surprised you said yes to talk to me. If you'd probably be sick of my voice by now, I wouldn't imagine. But mate, is it true? A little birdie told me that, because I think if you look at that growth, $50 million to $3 billion, obviously staggering, but is it true that it all started from the phone book?
Yeah, it's exactly true. So whenever I tell this story, I actually did a presentation once for industry, and literally the name of the presentation was from a desk and a phone book to this. So yeah, when I got here, there was already sort of a burgeoning business, one advisor who was kind of doing everything, but really no infrastructure, no systems, no structure. But more importantly, there were no clients. So after sort of crying myself to sleep every night for the first couple of months and, having no income and no clients, I thought, well, either I'm no good at this and I'll go back to the bank where I was, or I'll give it a crack. And I remember I talked to my dad at the time, and he said, and my dad was a, orchard farmer, so orange and lemons. And he said to me, well, you can come and pick oranges if you like. And I said, well, fuck that. I'm not going to do that. I decided I'd give it a crack. So I realized that I needed to find centers of influence. Like I needed to find people who could actually send me work. So I literally sat down one day, opened the yellow pages, and it was online, but, opened the yellow pages online, and tried to work out, who was it that would send me work. So I started ringing some accounting firms, and then I rang this guy from an outplacement agency, And what he did for a living was when executives were made redundant, he would bring them in, talk them through why they were leaving their existing job, what sort of job they wanted in the future, help them put together a kind of career plan going forward, and help them work out if they're going to go do NED roles. But he wasn't giving any investment advice or any kind of financial advice. And I sort of jumped on it and said, well, mate, any of these guys who kind of need advice around what to do with their redundancy payment or their super. And I don't know, we built rapport straight away. I think I was 22 or 23 years of age. He was this really kind of flamboyant guy who he'd come from Melbourne, and we were meeting in Sydney. And this meant nothing to me being from Sydney. But he said to me, I really like you, Charlie, because you've got more front than mire, which means nothing to somebody from Sydney. But, you go to Melbourne, they've obviously got the Burke Street Mall, which is this great big banner that's Mire across. So anyway, we got on really well. He literally sent me one executive from one company who I met, went through a process. That guy got a new job. As part of his new job, a reasonable part of his remuneration was share-based REM. I explained how the share-based REM worked, and then I have very few skills in life, very few, but making complex things seem simple is maybe one of them, which is probably an okay skill to have in our world. So he said to me, well, mate, that was really simple. Why don't you come along and explain it to the whole of the executive team, which I did. I trundled off and provided a whole bunch of Macquarie bankers an explanation as to how their share-based REM scheme worked. It resonated with a few of them. A number of them then came and saw me as individuals. A couple of those guys then went off to other organisations where they got me involved, and then the HR manager from one of those organisations went to another one. And after sort of about 18 months or 2 years, it happened pretty quickly, I had 4 or 5 listed companies where I was getting paid a consulting fee to come in and explain how the share-based REM work. So, when they get stock, when they're allowed to sell it, what their minimum holding requirements are, how the taxing works, how to fit it into your broader portfolio. So I was basically getting paid to virtually market to these executives. And, I just ended up building this kind of really good cohort of kind of C-suite, kind of mid-40s to early 50s kind of clients with a great capacity to earn money. And you kind of fast forward, those clients which I've still got now are much wealthier. The guy that had 2 million's now got 15 or 20 kind of thing. And, it allowed us to kind of transform the business from being very much a kind of financial planning or an advisory business into an investment business, because that's what's important to those people now.
Yeah, and talk to me a little bit more about that, because you did mention when we were chatting just before we fired up the recording, but how did that come to pass, and then what did it actually look like practically inside your business?
So when I started the business, or when the business started, we were very much a retail financial planning business, and we were doing all the things that kind of retail financial planners do. You'd go through a process of getting a fact find and do the SOA, and you'd kind of try and marry the client before you'd even met them, where you got every bit of detail, and then you tried to kind of model things out over a really long period of time. And that was always sort of fine in terms of onboarding the clients. And it was a really important part of, building rapport and getting to know the clients and onboarding them. But what we worked out over time is that as the business grew and as your relationship with the client grew over time, because you'd already done the process of getting all the right money into all the right buckets, it very much became that the enduring value add and the thing that they were most interested in was actually producing good investment returns. So we started to spend more and more time just talking about the investment piece, about asset allocation, about diversity, about different types of investments and generating your return in different ways. As the average client went from, sort of 1 or 2 mil of investable monies to kind of 10 or 15 or 20 mil of investable monies, there's not like tax systems in Australia are really very simple. There's only four tax buckets that you can kind of put money in, personal, company, trust, or super. So the planning piece in reality is really simple, especially for high net wealth people. The higher net wealth somebody is, the easier the planning is. Just make sure you fill up the super bucket, and then really you've only got the 3 other buckets that you use. So it's reasonably simple. So really the enduring value add over time was making sure that the underlying assets were generating a good return, and generating a return that we would be able to produce a better return that they could do themselves, and giving them access to product and opportunities and deal flow that they otherwise couldn't see. So just over time, as the clients got bigger, we realized that these clients will be stickier and they will love us more if we work really hard on making sure that we're protecting their capital, we're generating revenue for them, we're controlling the impairment risk within the portfolio, and we're producing good outsized investment outcomes, over a really long period of time. If all of your, and then just we sort of sprinkle that with the life advice as time goes on, and kids getting married, wanting to lend money to kids and protect it, divorces, new cars, whatever. But the overriding and enduring service was making sure the monies were well invested. So we just ended up spending more and more time worrying about how we access investments, how we deal with it, how we put portfolios together, how we manage risk. So, and it kind of needed the business to get to like almost a critical mass point for that to occur, because, if all you're doing is running around trying to find new clients every day, then you're doing lots of the upfront planning. But as the business got bigger, it became much more about the clients we have and the investments we can hold, if that makes sense.
Yes, and how did you build that skill from coming in? Obviously, as a planner, you've got the strategy piece, as you say, and then fast forward to today, where you are, managing significantly more money, much bigger clients. How did you and you guys as a business go about building out that offering and that muscle over time, and particularly in the early days?
Yeah, so I think firstly, I'm really fortunate that my business partner here, the guy that I kind of started the business with, Martin, he's our CIO, so he's excellent from an investment perspective. He's quietly spoken. He doesn't sort of sing and dance very much, but his ability to kind of, do the screens, do the qual and quant, and do the review of the assets has always been a really strong point. It's been a really strong point of our business over time. In lots of ways, though, you learn on these. You learn in the university of life, like you learn by osmosis. So, one of the things that I've always done, and I still do today, you can imagine, and Ben, you'd be the same, the number of fund managers and guys running their own money, and private capital guys who want to come and talk to you because they see you as part of their distribution network. I kind of almost never say no to those things, because I find an ability to learn things from those people. I then need to then apply that to the client situation or the underlying portfolios that I have. But I would say that I just love having the conversation. I'm an investment guy at heart, I guess. And I've just learned over time by osmosis, understanding how risk assets work, what drives them, what the liquidity risk is, what the line of sight to money coming back is. So it is something that I think kind of developed over time. I would have said back in 2003 when I started flicking through the phone book that I'm a strategy guy. Now, today, I'm absolutely an investment guy because the strategy stuff is actually really simple. So, and the investment stuff is where we can genuinely add value to clients.
Yeah, it's interesting. I, in my business, have started we started a while ago, but dealing with clients that have got more and more money. And as you say, that the strategic piece, it is complex, and certainly in the early stages in getting it all structured, that there is a lot that goes into that. But once you do get things up and running, that there is a level of simplicity that's there around that. So it does make a lot of sense. Charlie, what would you say? What have been what's been the biggest challenge or the biggest challenges on your journey at Pitcher?
The biggest challenges I would say were probably systems, to be honest. I think we grew quicker than our systems. So back in 2003 when I got here, we kind of had VisiPlan. We then turned VisiPlan into XPlan. And so we were cutting edge for about 5 minutes. We're a completely bespoke business, which means that we're off platform in the main. So of our sort of 3.2 or 3.3 billion of capital that we have here, we've probably only got $400 or $500 million on platform. The rest of it we hold directly. So come 2011, when we had this 2005 cutting edge business, we really started to struggle in terms of how we would report, how we would produce tax reporting to clients. And then, and while we continued to kind of create greater efficiencies, and it was really us just kind of sewing a spreadsheet to X-Plan, and then X-Plan to another system, and then another spreadsheet to another spreadsheet. And the client outcomes were all about the investment outcomes. So the clients didn't care, but we just didn't have the same functionality as other groups had, and we just didn't have the same systems. In about 2017, we made, a decision to go out and get, a GM and a head of ops, and we just, we spent a bucket load of money trying to drag the business into kind of the 21st century. And, I'm pleased to say now that we've got absolute kind of leading systems. We've got great client portals. We've got great tax systems for clients to be able to pull their stuff out. But there was a real period in the middle there where, we had, I think we had at one stage like 11 people doing nothing but ticking and flicking X-Plan. And when I say ticking and flicking, you'd have the client's bank statement, you'd have all their dividend statements, you'd have their, holding statements for whatever unit trusts or private investments, and then making sure it kind of married to what was on X-Plan, which the clients could see and would drive our investment reporting. So we had this raft of people doing kind of manual data entry. And it was always this real pain point in the business that, we just weren't efficient. We've literally now got 2 people, and the business is kind of twice the size. So the system stuff was a real challenge. I think the other challenge, in fairness, from a business perspective, is Martin and I started here. Martin in sort of 2002, me in 2003. So there were 2 of us. Even still today, there are only 4 of us. Finding really good advisors that are, have the investment capability, have got the kind of client service ethic that we want. And, I have a bit of a saying in here, and it's kind of written up on the walls: do the right thing by the client, the rest will follow. We've probably had a little bit of an industry where some people in our industry are a bit kind of overpaid and undersmart. So, we probably struggle to sort of grow beyond the sort of 4 main advisors that we have here. And, we actively look, and but it's difficult in our world. The bigger players, Coda, Crestone, Scala, Credit Suisse, they pay more than what we do, and we found that growth trajectory sort of difficult over a period of time. But it does sort of mean, though, that we can continue to provide these really kind of bespoke, high value services and not commoditize it too much. So it's kind of wins and losses in all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I'm happy to report for anyone that's been following along for the last little while that we've been hiring for advisors for the last year, basically. And in that time, we brought on 2 new advisors into the business, and it's been so frustrating. And I'm you think about it, and particularly like in the earlier parts of that year, and I'm sort of thinking like, it can't be that hard because there's 15,000 advisors out there. Like, we're a good business, it's a good opportunity. But when you start going, well, you need someone that's the right culture fit for the business, the right experience set, the right work ethic, someone that wants to grow, or like in our case, grow, or in some cases not grow. Like, you just start narrowing it down. And the more I thought about it, I realized that actually, like, your business is very different to ours. Like, the advisors that would be suitable for us wouldn't be suitable for you. The advisors that would be suitable for you probably wouldn't be suitable for us, and vice versa as well. So then on top of that, you got the timing. Good advisors,
yeah, good advisors have already got good jobs, and that's partly the problem. And the advisors maybe you don't have jobs you don't want, sort of thing. So like we hold the client piece really close to our heart here. The reality is that we're a fee for service business. If the client doesn't pay their invoice, we don't eat, kind of thing. So protecting both the culture of the business, which, we've spent a lot of time trying to build up, and, we've got a really long tenure in our business. We've got people who have been here with us for 15 and 16 years. And I think our average tenure here is about 10 or 11 years or something. So it's quite long. So we probably feel like a nice place to work. We hold that close to our heart, but the client-centric piece, it's really important that you find people who absolutely have the best interests of their clients at heart, and are willing to kind of build over a period of time, because we are fee for service. We don't charge for the initial proposal. We don't charge for the original advice piece. We take that as acquisition cost because we're trying to build long-term enduring relationships with clients, because even from an enterprise value point of view of our business, the more recurring revenue we have, the more valuable this business will be. And these are great businesses to run, right? Because you've got this scenario where you've got less people doing it, you've got people getting richer and richer all the time, which means you kind of have this kind of asymmetric piece where, as a result, there's more wealthy people for less of us who are doing a good job, sort of thing.
Yeah, it's exciting, and I think that's playing across a lot of markets in financial advice. That less advisors, advice consumers, more in basically every market segment, and then everyone's sort of getting richer. So, in my view, I think the next little while is a great time to be in advice.
And there was like this massive kerfuffle, post Royal Commission about, education standards and having to do the FASEA exam and all of those sorts of things, which, like, I really get if you're 55 and really experienced and good to your clients that you kind of don't want to have to go through those things. But what we've seen as a result of those things is the people now coming to the industry are much better educated. They see it as a professional service. They don't see it as a sales process. So while that process that we went through with, FASEA and code of conduct and, the Royal Commission and whatever was challenging and difficult, and there was a heap of upheaval and stuff about it, the reality is the outcome of it and the consequence of it has actually meant that you've actually got better people who want to be part of the industry. They see it as a professional service. They see it as a long-term career. They see it as, something that they can kind of do over a really long period of time. So, I think in some ways, and whether they expected this to occur, while it's a bit like turning the big tanker around, it takes a while to turn around, you can actually see the value of it now turning around, because people are now coming in having done stuff at university. They're coming in and they're happy to be patient to learn about, how to deal with clients. They're not wanting to come in and clip the ticket immediately. So those things, as a sort of 43-year-old, some of those things were even challenging for me. I sort of wanted to tell people to bugger off when they said I had to go back and do other education. I've been doing this for 24 years. But I now really see the value in that the young people that are coming through the industry are just better than what they ever were.
Totally. Yeah, I think that there's definitely people negatively impacted that probably shouldn't have been, and overall not perfect. But like you say, that now new advisors, that you have to be pretty committed to become a financial advisor, because you need the qualifications, you need to do the PY, you need to do all of those things. And I think that's got to be good for advice. It's hard to imagine how it could not be. And then I think at the same time, and again, the legislation not perfect, but some of those changes and the emphasis on, best interest duty, breach reporting, like all of these things, it's really putting the magnifying glass on advice, and it has uplifted the quality, the clarity, the transparency. Again, still not perfect, but I think all of those things, they combine to consumers start getting better advice outcomes, and they start telling their mates more, and then more people start getting advice, and it's just keeps feeding the cycle. So definitely not perfect, but the right direction.
And, we talk about this all the time. Even, we're talking about REM structures and stuff in here at the moment for our advisors. Like, anything that creates the right behaviors is the right answer. So all that stuff around, the regulatory, like some of it is maybe a little bit painful, but it's all about creating the right behaviors. And the better that you make those behaviors and the more innate you make those behaviors over time, the better it is for all of us. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely. Charlie, what would you say, what's been the most difficult skill that you've had to master to be the advisor you are today?
Like I think I'm,
It's not meeting minutes. It's not writing meeting minutes, is it? Don't say meeting minutes.
Well, I mean, the admin is painful for everybody, but I actually get therapy out of doing the admin, because it reminds me, what conversations I've had and all of those sorts of things. Like, nobody wants to do it. Look, I think that to be honest, I think that the most difficult thing over time has been the delegation piece, and telling clients that they're not right for you. You've only got so many hours in the day, and I wear two hats in this business. I'm the MD as well as obviously, probably its key advisor. I think the biggest difficulty has been telling clients who, you have a conversation with they automatically, you both automatically kind of fall in love, and then you realize from a commercial perspective that client maybe isn't right for you or your business, or and so I think that for me is still super challenging. I've got a reasonable number of clients that I look after, telling clients that they need to see somebody else, and even existing clients, when I'm sort of pushing it down to a couple of the associates and stuff, I find the kind of breaking up stuff really, really hard, to be honest, because you have real relationships with these people. You know their kids' names, their dogs' names. They tell you when the dog's died. Like you have real relationships with these people. So I find that piece really challenging, and something that I'm not actually very good at, to be honest. And even our stakeholders and our shareholders are always saying to me, the key person risk in this business is unacceptable, because of the level of, the fact I run it, the level of FUM that I carry, and the amount of fees that I do. And they say, we want you to give 40 of your clients to the two young associates that you've been, sort of grooming and bringing through. But that's really hard to do. That's genuinely difficult to do.
Yeah, it's not. I don't think that transition is easy. No matter what your business is, and I think you build relationship, you build trust, you build comfort. People understand that, and as much as what we do is, it's numerical and it's objective, and it's there is that, but it's people get used to that comfort, and I think a big part of people getting great results from their money is taking action. Having confidence to do that, though, is a barrier, and I think that relationship helps to build the confidence, even though the advice might be the same, no matter who's saying it.
Yeah, trust is real. Trust is a real emotion, and it's a real. Trust is a big determinant in decision making. So, because you can pass on the client, you can, they can serve the client exactly the way that you do, but you can't pass that trust on. Do you know what I mean? So I found that challenging, and like I say, the other piece that's been challenging recently is finding good advisors in the market, if I'm honest.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, look, when you crack the code on that first one, just if you could let me know, that would be appreciated. Charlie, what are you guys focused on now? What's coming up for you?
We probably believe we've built, we've got a really good business now. We've got great resources in terms of, our efficiency and the manner in which we kind of produce documents and produce outcomes for clients. We're one way, same way. We've got great online portals for clients to utilize. We've got live data all of the time. Our ability to kind of produce our sort of wholesale proposal documents and our review documents and what have you, we think is absolute market leading. We've got great access to product. We're really big in the private asset space. We get great access to really good, interesting things that kind of fit in client portfolios. So we believe that, and we built sort of a good brand around that sort of stuff. So we believe that we're a great business. What's next for us really is to continue to grow. If you look at if you look at the kind of relative success of, a business like Coda, complete standing start sort of 3 or 4 years ago to 10 bill of assets under advice and 30 advisors in 3 years, their ability to scale quickly was sort of phenomenal. And while I'm sure that of the 28 advisors, they've had 15 that have left, we never wanted to make a mistake, right? For us now, it's about trying to work out how we actually get to that scale. It's about how we use the systems, the process, the brand, the opportunity from an investment perspective that we've got for clients, and really start to scale that and start to grow that. Again, we really want to take that growth mindset because we believe that we can add value, and we sort of believe, I'm a sort of passionate believer of private wealth. I believe that we add value over time. I believe we can kind of generate really good client outcomes. We just want kind of people to come in and come on the journey with us, kind of thing, because it's fun. You get a heap of intellectual stimuli about talking to wealthy clients about their money. They're fun things to do, and most of us in this world are kind of well paid to do it. So, kind of who wouldn't want to work in these businesses in this industry?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it's interesting clients. They're doing interesting things. And then when you look at the strategies and what you choose to do, then that's all pretty interesting as well. So I certainly
Yeah.
see the appeal. Charlie, my last question for you is that if you could go back and do one thing differently, what would it be?
Oh, we would have fixed systems earlier. So I think we lost 3 or 4 years of growth by having to reconcile things on spreadsheets and tick and flick things, and systems are really important, and really help from an efficiency point of view and add to your service offering fairly significantly and give you time back in the day. So when we had our 2005 cutting edge business in 2012. I wish we hadn't have waited until kind of 2015 to kind of, start the process of kind of fixing those things with an assumption of kind of she'll be right. So we would have made sure that the underlying infrastructure and all those things were better. And like I said, we still produced good outcomes. And at the end of the day, it was about investment outcomes. But it was hard work for a really long period of time. So, but outside of that, I'm really pleased with the journey that we've been on. We've been really fortunate with the client sort of cohort that we've been able to attract to our business. We've worked really hard to be in the market looking for really good investment opportunities for clients, and we think we add value around. We add real value around all of that stuff. So yeah, there's not heaps that I would change, but yeah, having some better systems, I think, is certainly one.
I think the best time to fix your systems was always 5 years ago, but
Yeah.
time is now. And I think it's the biggest frustration for a lot of advisors. There's so many moving parts that it still blows my mind that there isn't a system that could work. But I suppose that could work across all businesses that integrates the different things that you need. But here we are.
Yeah. Change is hard too. Like if you continue to do something the same way for a long period of time, and it notionally works because clients don't leave, and you're getting on more clients. Change is hard. It's that old sort of saying where I'm happy to change as long as it doesn't affect me. And we did that for a really long period of time, like where we went, I'm happy to change, but I don't want to change what I do every day, kind of thing. And then it just got to the point where, oh shit, we really have to change now, or we're just gonna stop adding value to clients because we're going to spend way too much time doing all of this other rubbish.
Yeah, it definitely helps, but it's an investment to get there for sure. But Charlie, thank you so much. Really appreciate you sharing your story. Great to see you kicking those goals, mate. So I look forward to the next one.
Thank you, Ben. Much appreciated, mate. And delighted to have been on.